What's going on, guys? My name's Martinio and welcome back to the channel, where today I'm checking out the new Porsche 992.2 Cup car. And when this was announced during the development blog update in November, it's fair to say that it divided opinion a little bit. So I did want to take a look at it and check it out, because I do enjoy the Porsche Cup series, and there was a little bit of doom and gloom going on over Reddit and Facebook and so on and so forth. And a lot of it came down to the fact that they added ABS and traction control. Now, of course, this isn't iRacing's fault. They're just moving in line with the real world series, but I did want to check it out. But before we do that, let's just take a look at the blog post itself, because it isn't just ABS and traction control that are coming with this new car. So we have a small bump in power, an extra 10 horsepower, every little helps. Improved front axle response through revised aerodynamics and suspension geometry, improved driver display functionality, obviously the ABS and traction control we've already talked about, and also there is a new or the latest spec of dry and wet tyres in line with the prior GT3 and GT4 tyre updates. They think all of these changes are going to be worth somewhere between 1 and 1.5 seconds per lap, and I'll be putting that to the test in a moment. So yeah, like I said, it's not just the ABS and the traction control. There are a couple of other things, different brake pad options. They've revised the entire brake system to be, with both ABS and non-ABS use in mind, and there's actual proper rules packages when running at the Nordschleife as well. So yes, like I said, it's divided opinion, and there's quite a few people who maybe think the shine's going to be taken off the Porsche Cup series a little bit. It was seen as a bit of a driver's car, there was nothing to bail you out. It was just you and the car. You had to get your braking right, you had to get your throttle application right, so on and so forth, all that stuff. But I can also see the other side of it, where it was quite a daunting car to drive to some, and they may have skipped over it completely when they left things like MX-5 and GT80 or the GR Cup stuff. They may have skipped over this and went straight to the GT4s and GT3s because they were maybe a little bit more forgiving and a little bit easier to drive. So I can see both sides of the equation. For me personally, I'm a little bit undecided still, despite the fact that I've driven it. The one thing I did like about the old Porsche Cup car is, like I said, I think it was a good learning car. It was something that if you had bad driver habits, it would train it out of you, just because if you tried it with the old car, it would throw you into a wall or a gravel trap, or various other places that make up what we iRacers know as the Shadow Realm. Yes, many of us have visited. I know some of you haven't visited. Yes, you have. Everybody's been to the Shadow Realm. I've been there. I've got a t-shirt. I've sent postcards from there. But yes, so I found it a really good learning car to get rid of the habits, especially when it comes to things like braking. Without that ABS to bail you out, I found it to be a very good learning car. But as I say, the proof is in the pudding, or to be more accurate, the proof is in the driving. So I decided to do a little bit of driving, a little bit of testing with this around Laguna Seca. Now, one of the things I wanted to take a look at just quickly before we jump into the side-by-side comparison with this is the new tyre models, because we've seen with the GT3s and GT4s that they mentioned, they were fairly sizable changes, and they changed not only sort of the starting tyre temps and pressures, but also how those tyres gathered temperature. A lot of it was just, it would gather temperature a little bit slower maybe than the old tyres, but they would stay in an optimal window longer. It's a lot like this with the new Porsche Cup tyres, but it's not as abrupt. So the tyre temps, I can't tell you if they stayed exactly the same, because the old DDU with the old Porsche Cup car didn't tell you the temperatures, but the tyre pressures do remain the same. It's almost like a baby GT3 update. So you can definitely feel it. They do gather temperature a little bit differently. There's a very small variation in terms of changes over the course of the running that I did in the tyre pressures. So, I mean, it's minimal at best. So it's a little bit lower to begin with the new tyres. Like I said, they gather temperature a little bit differently. But towards the back end, a couple of the tyres were actually sitting a bit, well, a few of them actually were sitting a little bit higher. Like at the end of my 11 lap run, I'll explain why it was 11 laps in a minute, but the 11 lap run, the old ones, they were sitting at 176, 179, 175, 179. The new tyres, 174, 180, 176, 181. So that to me says the the rear tyres, maybe they're taking maybe a little bit more of a pounding, maybe there's a little bit more down. We know they've revised the aerodynamics, so maybe there's a little bit more downforce, but yes. But overall, it's not a huge change. I would say you just need to be a little bit wary on those opening laps. Not as careful as with the GT3s and GT4s, but it's just the front end in my testing, it did wash out a little bit through certain corners on those early couple of laps, so it's just something to be aware of. But I suppose the one thing you all want to see is a side-by-side, so let's get that going now. So just for clarification, and I'll show you the breakdown of the laps in a moment. My best lap in the old car came on lap number 11, my best lap in the new car came on lap number 5, so there's a decent amount of variation with that. So why, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't driving the car particularly differently from either from one to the other, but overall I'd say it's faster than what the development blog said. They said 1 to 1.5 seconds. It is a lot faster than that in the testing that I did. And it's not just the ABS and traction control that are doing this. Obviously, like I said, there's revised aerodynamics and the braking system has been revised as well. For me personally, I can't confirm this, but I think the gear ratios are a little bit shorter. Yeah, I think the gear ratios are a little bit shorter in the new car compared to the old one. And because it did feel like it accelerated a little bit more. Whether this was due to the fact that, again, the traction control was there and I knew I could push it a little bit harder, I'm not 100% certain. But either way, see we're coming around the last corner now, and across the line at the bottom with the new car, you can see it's a fairly sizable gap, and I can confirm it is way more than the 1 to 1.5 seconds. The best lap I did in the new car was a 22.6, whereas the old car it was a 25.2, so you look at about 2.5 seconds in terms of difference there between the two cars. So again, it's not all traction control, it's not all ABS, there is a culmination of a bunch of things, but it is going to be a lot faster. Also, the reason I did 11 laps for my testing was that the dash readout on the Porsche Cup cards, it tells you how many laps you've done, not what lap you're on. I didn't know that until afterwards, so yes. Now, in terms of my feelings on the new car, it does still feel like a Porsche Cup car. It does feel like it still has that potential to bite you. It's just diminished a little bit. So again, I can see why it divided opinion. I think it's going to increase popularity a little bit. I think you're definitely going to see people who wouldn't normally go into the Porsche Cup stuff coming and giving it a try. But again, I can also see it from the perspective of those who see it as maybe dumbing it down a little bit, not as much of a driver's car anymore. But again, that's I think they maybe forget about all that in a little while. Once they've driven it in a few series, I can't see people doing it. I mean, you can turn the traction control and ABS off, but I just don't see anybody doing it. I don't see any iRacers hamstringing themselves or, putting themselves at a disadvantage just on principle. I just don't see it happening. So yes, overall though, I quite like it. I'm still a little bit undecided on certain parts, but I do quite like it overall. But I can see the shine has been taken off it a little bit. If you could wrangle a cup car around a track in a fairly quick fashion, then you could pretty much do it with anything. Now it just feels like it's still a Porsche Cup car. It's just a little bit tamer, I guess you could say. But yes, that's the end of the video, guys. But I want to hear your thoughts. Have you driven the new Porsche Cup car? What are your thoughts on it? Do you like the new Porsche Cup car? Is it something that are the changes and the sort of the dumbing down of it, I guess you could say, is that going to sort of push you away from the series? Also, if you haven't driven the Porsche Cup car but you intend to, do these new changes and it being maybe a little bit more forgiving, is that push you towards driving it? Is the reason you didn't drive it previously because of the reputation of it being quite a fearsome car and quite a punishing one? Let me know in the comments, guys. It's always awesome to hear from you. Also, check out the social media links. They're all down in the description below. Sorry for the lateness for the video. For those in the UK, had a lot of stuff to do today and it didn't go live until about 5 o'clock. So yes, had quite a bit of stuff to do. But yes, once again, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you all in the next video.